So you're thinking of moving to Las Vegas? In this video, we're going to talk about prices dropping, prices crashing, prices falling, and all the other things you hear. So let's get after it right now. This is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Las Vegas, moving to Las Vegas, and the general Las Vegas real estate market, go ahead and hit subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, and you'll be the first in the know for everything that's happening here in the Las Vegas area. Hi, my name's Anthony. I'm a former attorney turned real estate professional who's been in the Las Vegas area since 1981, so I know a thing or two about this city. Hey, my team and I, we get phone calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you looking to make their move to Las Vegas, and we absolutely love it. Look, if you're looking to make your move in the next 9 to 90 days, go ahead and shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email, and we will be more than happy to make your move as smooth as possible. So today we are going to talk about prices falling, prices dropping. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling here in Las Vegas, and determine, is that really true? Or is that just a lot of hype and fear mongering that's going on? All right, so let's get into it real quick and right after it, because this is going to be fairly in-depth onto those issues, okay? So really, when we talk about prices falling and prices dropping in real estate, we're talking about two distinct issues, okay? The first issue is the list price, or the price that you see offered on the MLS, or on, if you're looking at a Zillow or a Redfin or a Realtor.com or something like that, and you see the prices that are offered, the offer price, the list price coming down. And what does that mean? The second issue is the actual median sales price, or what things actually sell for, and are those prices going to drop? Is that going to be coming down big time? All right, so let's get into number one, and that is the list price that is offered by a seller through the real estate agent on the MLS, and what you see in Zillow and what you see. So really, the list price that a house is offered for is a marketing piece more than anything. It is not a contractual obligation. If I list my house for $1 and you say, here's your $1, I don't have to accept it. That's just an invitation to negotiate on a price for a house. So in real estate agents and realtors, they do a couple different things when they're putting that out onto the MLS, because the goal of an agent is to get more people to come and look at that piece of property and then make offers on that property. And there's two ways of looking at it. So you can either price under the market and lowball the offer price that you put out there, driving more traffic to look at that property, and then hopefully having a bidding war or multiple offers on that property to maximize the price that you could get for that piece of property. The second tactic that people take is to price ahead of the market. And for the past couple of years, this market has absolutely been crazy. We've had 20% year-over-year growth in the median sales price. Remember, different than the offer list price. So that 20% year-over-year meant that we could, as a seller, put out a number out there that may be ahead of what the house was worth at the time that you're listing it. But by the time that it came to close, and by the time that you got people to make offers on it, that they would match that price. So you would get more for your house than it was actually listed for as well. And that was, they wanted to drive the prices up with that tactic. And it really did work for the last couple of years. It didn't matter what you put on the MLS, what price you put. We had such a lack of inventory for the last couple of years that people who are moving here, because and as I'm going to show you later on in my next point, We have had a lack of inventory. People were moving here and they wanted something, and you know what? If there's not much out there, you're gonna overpay and overbid for that inventory. And that's what happened. So what you'll see now is remnants of that. So you have this pricing strategy too, where you price ahead of the market. Maybe the house comped out at $350,000. Well, you priced yours and offered it for $375,000. But by the time people came to look at it, you know what? There was nothing else available in that price range. So they were willing to pay $375,000. In fact, in a lot of cases, what they did was they took that $375,000 number and then they said, okay, I'll give you $380,000. And then another guy came in and said, oh, I'll give you $390,000, $400,000. And that's what we had going on over the last couple of years. And it did work. So now that things have shifted a little bit in the market, and that's what this whole video is about, is how that shift affects pricing. What you're going to see is a ton of price drops on the MLS, on Zillow, and on Redfin, and on Realtor.com, all the places that get their information from the MLS and then publish it in different places. So what you're going to see is that people who haven't caught on to the fact that the market has shifted. Look, inflation has gone through the roof, and interest rates have gone up significantly from the really loose monetary policy that the Fed had for the last couple of years, and they've tightened up in order to bring that inflation down. So interest rates go up, inflation hopefully goes down, and everything levels out. I have other videos discussing that, so I won't get too much into it here. But what you have is a lot of inventory that's been on the MLS that was priced based on the old rules, the old what was happening, and haven't taken into effect how things have changed in the market here. So when you see, look, I looked over the past couple of weeks, you've had hundreds and hundreds of price drops on the MLS. That doesn't mean that the house was worth what they had it listed for to begin with. Look, let me give you an example. We've all seen these ads on TV. Going out of business, everything marked down, half off. This week only, everything half off. We know, intuitively know. It sounds great, it looks great, but you go, hey, that stuff was overpriced to begin with. So when you're selling it at half off, we know you're still making a little bit of a profit, but we know you're not making an exorbitant profit and that you're really just repricing it to bring it down with what is the true value of that. So think of an offer price or a list price as a dream price, a wish price. Like I said, there was two ways of marketing your home. So I think you will continue to see price drops. You will continue to see price reductions on the MLS and on the places where you go to look at homes, the Zillows, the Realtors, those types of places. That's not going to stop for a little bit of time as everybody catches on, as the sellers catch on. That dream price isn't going to happen. If they want to sell their house, they have to show a more realistic price. So we will see those price drops happening for the next several months here, and it will take a little bit of time for that to catch up. But let's talk about the next big issue, and that is a lot of financial issues going on right now. You have inflation at just reported at over 9%, 9.1%. You have interest rates going up. Now they have come back down just in the last week or two here. They have come down a little bit. And what you have is Federal Reserve changing their monetary policy, their lending rates, that is affected and is what mortgages are based off of for the most part. So when you have that high inflation, you have the Fed go, oh, we need to make it harder. And they're trying to do a balancing act of making the interest rates go up and making inflation go down. So we've seen a lot of this goofy stuff happening. And a lot of people are worried about we are in a recession or a recession is actually coming here. And what is that going to do to home prices? Well, let me tell you, there have been 9 recessions in the US since 1954. And those recessions are in 1958, 1960 to 61, 1969 to 1970, 1973 through 75, 1980, 1981 and 1982, the early 90s, the early 2000s, and then the granddaddy of them all, the biggie, the Great Recession of 2007 through 2009. Now, I'm going to show a chart here of historical median sales prices in the US from the 1954 to today. And what you're going to see is that with the exception of the 2007-2009 recession, median home prices have actually stayed the course of going up over time. We have not seen the big giant drop off that we saw in 2007 and 2009, except for in 2007 and 2009. So if we are in a recession or we're coming upon a recession, does that mean home prices are going to fall here in Las Vegas and in the US? Sure, there might be a little pullback as there's some fear and there's some stuff going on. And you might see, a 3 to 5% dip for a very short period of time. But if you look at that chart, you'll see that that doesn't last very long at all, couple of months. And then all of a sudden prices go back to their normal appreciation rate of 3 to 5% historically. Now, if we look at this next chart, which is of the Las Vegas real estate market and the median sales prices of 2006 through current, you'll see that home prices in that 2007 to 2009 recession did drop and did drop dramatically. We had 40 to 60% home price drops. But the fundamentals of the 2007-2009 recession were different than all of the other recessions, the other 9 recessions that have occurred since 1954. For the most part, the other 8 recessions, excluding the 2007 to 2009 recession, have been your garden variety of recession. And in that we have changes in the inflation and then trying to counteract that with interest rates, and we're cooling the economy and trying to moderate the level of growth of the economy over time. 2007 to 2009 was a very different animal. Leading up through that, the banks became crazy with their lending standards. On top of that, it fueled people, people just like you and me, looking for housing either to buy or to buy as investment property, to do some things, and the banks let you get away with it, and it was a whole revolving issue. And what happened was people would bite off more than they could chew. The banks didn't care, so they lent out the money, and the people eventually, when things changed a little bit, they weren't able to make the payments on those. That led to a lot of foreclosures, as you know, and a lot of extra inventory coming back into the market and causing an oversupply issue in comparison to demand, because we had a regular recession plus all the goofiness that the financial industry was doing and people participating in the financial industry, and it caused a huge crash in the economy throughout the globe. And we did see huge drops in values during that time. Like I said, 40 to 60% drops here in the Las Vegas area. Today's recession is much different than that. Today's or potential recession is going to be much different than that. We don't have the crazy financial issues that we had in the 2007-2009 period. They did learn a lot from that, and the regulators came in and they made a lot more adjustments to the lending industry so that we wouldn't get overextended like we were during that time. That borrowers were qualified and could pay those mortgages and weren't biting off more than they could chew. So that tempered down and has changed a lot of what the potential recession today is looking like versus the 2007-2009. Now the problem is, The last recession that we had was 2007, 2009. We as consumers, we as people have short memories. That's what we compare everything to because that's the last one that there was. And basically that's, a lot of people think that, oh, history's going to repeat itself. We're going to have another giant crash. I honestly don't think that will happen. Let's take a look at a few other things and let me show you why I don't think that will happen. There's two other factors that we have to look at, and that is the number of closed sales every month and the inventory or supply of homes available. Let's look at closed sales chart here from Las Vegas, and you'll see that after the 2007-2009 recession and the corresponding several years past that as we were in a hole and had to work out of it, you'll see that the number of closed transactions, yes, they fluctuate seasonally. So there is a cyclical adjustment to the number. It's remarkably consistent over time, and it stays within the parameters over time for the most part. It very rarely busts out through that, or either to the top or to the bottom. It stays very consistent in the number of closed sales and closed transactions that happen here. The next thing we have to look at is inventory. And if we look at the month's supply of inventory chart here, you'll see for the last 2 years how inventory has dropped to almost nothing. We sat in a long time for 1 month and under worth of inventory. If you look at the whole thing as an average, we're somewhere under, right around 4 and 5 months worth of inventory. Currently in today's, while we're shooting this, we're at just over 2 months inventory. So we've come up a long way from our under 1 month's inventory, but we're still a long way off from that 4-month historical number of where we are with inventory. And in fact, you'll know that if you watch my other video, you'll see that a stable market is 6 months worth of inventory. That means neither the seller nor the buyer has an advantage. Under 6 months, so 5 months and under's worth of inventory, the seller has an advantage. Over 6 months, the buyer has an advantage. And the closer you get on to 1 month and under, you'll see that the seller has a big advantage. And that's exactly what's happened over the last 2 years here in Las Vegas, and in fact, most of the country. Look, there was a big population shift that happened because of COVID and because of the pandemic and because of all the restrictions that were put in place, because of a lot of the different policies that were going on, as well as the big thing that came from that is people were able to move and not be tied their location to their job. Remote work has changed the landscape for where people are migrating to and living to throughout the country. They're going away from the high price, high crime to areas that are more affordable, have more growth potential, have a better quality of life. Just like Las Vegas. And that's why we have a lot of people that have moved from Washington, Oregon, California, Illinois, New York, even Texas and Florida. People are moving to Las Vegas. Look, our financial situation here is fantastic. We have no state income taxes. Our cost of living is better than just about all of those other places. It's a great place to move. Your dollar goes farther. You buy a lot more life here in the Las Vegas area than you do in, let's say, a San Francisco or, somewhere in the Inland Empire or somewhere like that. We had all of those factors driving people looking to move here, and we didn't have enough homes for sale here. And our inventory dropped from that 4 to 5 months worth of inventory down to under 1 month. That caused the prices to go up. As more people came in here, they started bidding more and paying more for the homes that are here. And that brought our median price of a home up quite a bit here. In fact, it went up over 20% for 2 years in a row. So that's a big, 40-50% growth over a 2-year period in the value of a home. That caused a lot of things. And people are going, okay, gosh, that that means that we are in an overheated market and everything is going to crash just like it did in 2007, 2009. Wrong. Not going to happen. A couple of different reasons. At least, in my opinion, I believe that is wrong. There's a lot of people with a lot of opinion, but I've met a lot more bulls that made money than I have bears that have made money. Really, what happened over the last 2 years is it corrected the 2007, 2009 big recession price drops. So if you look back at that chart of median prices here in the Las Vegas area from 2006 till 2000 now, you'll see that in 2007 to 2009, you had that big 40 to 60% drop. Then what you'll see is it slowly climbed out of that and got to a place where it went to a historical average of 3 to 5%. Then in the last 2 years, 2020 to 2021, you had another skyrocket up. Well, that skyrocket up, actually, if you take that bar right there and you put it back at the 2007 range, all it did was fill that hole. In fact, let me show you one thing. If you bought in August of 2007, the median sales price in August of 2007 was $299,900. If you sold that same median sales price home in June of 2022, it would be worth $480,000. Now you go, wow, that's a big jump. Okay, not really. If you look at that, the annual percentage growth from the $299,900 to the $480,000 pegs exactly to just between 3 and 3.5%, the historical average of home appreciation here in the United States over the last 50 plus years. So really, like I said, all that big appreciation that we've had over the last 2 years was fill the hole. It's a mirror image of the hole that was created in 2007, 2009, and we have maintained that normal trajectory of 3%. If you're looking to speculate, yeah, maybe now might not be the best time. If you're looking for a home to live in, sure, this is a great time and just as good as any other time to buy a home. So what do I see happening? The first thing we have to remember is that we all have a little PTSD from 2007 to 2009. A lot of people, they bit off more than they could chew. Then they got caught in the shorts here and got stung when things changed and the market shifted and we had a recession in 2007, 2009. And we did see those big drops in prices by 40, 60%. I don't see that happening. It's never happened in the 50 plus years before, and I don't see it happening this time around. The fundamentals that cause that problem are not here this time. I also see that listing prices, the offering price that you're going to see on the MLS and on the places like Zillow and Redfin, what a house is listed for, that's also going to come down here over the short term while people have to correct when they were pricing for a market that was different than today's. They were pricing for a market that happened 6 months ago instead of today. They need to be more realistic in their pricing in order to drive traffic, in order to drive buyers to come look at their home. They're gonna have to be more realistic and not shoot for the moon. And you'll actually see me. I shot a lot of videos here recently as this has all been changing. And I tell you straight up, these people were pricing the house that we are showing at a level that was for a market that happened 6 months ago. In order for this house to sell today, it's gonna have to sell at this price range. And I see it all the time, and they are still on there and they are still working their ways back. It depends on the quality of their agent, the reality that they're willing to accept, and how bad they want to sell the home. Look, there are some homes, in every market that have sat on the market for 500 days, 1,000 days, because they don't care about selling the home. But if somebody came by and offered me $1 million for a house that was worth $200,000, yeah, I'll move then. So they just keep it out there. not a motivated seller, not probably a house that is ever going to sell until they need to sell it. And when they need to sell it, they will move that price to what the correct pricing strategy is for today's market. We are also not going to have a magical inventory solution. Las Vegas is slated to grow at 1% per year, one of the top growth rates in all of the country. What that means, we currently have about 2.5 million-ish people here in Las Vegas. If we grow at 1%, our population will grow by about 25,000 people per year. You're going to need a lot more inventory, a lot more housing for 25,000 more people coming here every year. We build a lot, but we do not build to that capacity. So you are going to see that we are still going to have an inventory problem here in Las Vegas, and that is going to make sure that the home prices, while they're not going to be at 20 to 25%, are going to become more in line with the average of the 3 to 5% per year. Like I said, I don't expect that big 40, 60% decline to happen. And if you're waiting for that, man, you are going to look back at this in 6 months or a year and gosh, you're going to have FOMO. Because really, you are going to be paying rent, which is a 0% return. In fact, it's a negative return. You are going to miss out on 3 to 5% appreciation that you could have had if you bought now instead of waiting to time the market and seeing if it's going to go down 40 to 60%. It is not. It's not. And the people who are running around like their heads on fire about that, I understand it. I do. But if you look at the data, it does not support that. I would encourage you, if you're waiting for that, rethink, look deep at the numbers, look at what's going on, look at, that one anomaly recession and compare it with today. Do we have those same issues that caused that recession? Unlikely. Look, the bottom line is if you look at the charts again, go back and look at them, review them, you will see that real estate has been one of the greatest wealth creators for the middle class and for people throughout not just the most recent history, but throughout time. Look, kingdoms were all about controlling land. That was what everything was about. Today, we all get to enjoy our own kingdom by owning a piece of property and having that appreciation over time because we own that piece of land. When you rent a piece of land, you do not own it. You pay and you make somebody else's mortgage payment and you make that person's equity bigger. It is not yours. I would stay away from renting if at all possible. Of course, if it's not possible, renting is a fantastic option. We all need a place to live, and there are some great options here. In fact, we've got great rental specialists on our team that would love to help you if that's what you're looking for. But if you do have the opportunity to buy and the means to buy, I would not sit out of this market thinking that prices are going to crash to by 40 or 60%. It's just not going to happen. Look at the data. Look at everything that's out there. You can't show me anything that would sway me that, unless of course it's the black swan, you could not show me anything in the data that would say, oh, that makes sense. We are going to lose 40 to 60% of our value. It's just not going to happen. There isn't enough inventory to buy for all the people that want to buy houses. There's nothing out there to support that fact. All right, before I continue going off on a tangent here, let me wind it back down. I think that the market, you will see price drops in the list and offer prices. I do not see median sales price dropping dramatically. You may see a small pullback for a short period of time, but over the long term, no, I do not see it having a big giant 40 or 60% decrease. Today is still a fantastic day to buy real estate. And as long as you hold it, if you're speculating and think that you're going to, go ahead and get that 20% price gain over the next year, that, my friend, you are probably missed out on. However, if you need a home and you want to relocate to a great neighborhood and a great city to live in, there is no reason you should stop from going and buying a house now. I'd love to hear your opinions, your comments. Go ahead and leave them down below. I know some of you guys like to really go at it, and that's cool. All opinions are welcome here. And if you can show me a good reason why that you're not just basing your decision and your opinions on the fact that, oh, well, 2007, 2009 came, and it's going to happen again. I'd love to hear those reasons. But don't just tell me it's going to be the same as 07, 09, because it's not. The fundamentals are not there. Do not get stuck in this thinking. All right, that's enough. I'm done. Thank you for watching. And hey, if I don't see you in the neighborhood, I'll see you on the next video, and thanks for watching.